Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. And we are joined in studio today with someone that I think you are going to love. Nicea DeGering, how are you doing?
I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
This is really good. It's been a little bit of a coordination, but I want to give everyone a little bit of an intro on you because you have quite an extensive background. And we went for like a half an hour before we even started this episode, so I wish we had been rolling with that. But Nicea has been a broadcaster and host for, 30 years in the business, but 23 years with Good Things Utah. And here's what I want to say, because I usually have kind of a whole introduction plan, but some people, when they walk in a room, go unnoticed. And some people, when they come in a room, the energy shifts, people kind of listen, they kind of lean in, and they feel more comfortable. And that is what Nicea does. That is exactly the kind of personality she has. And yet, you've got this incredible background in journalism. You're the trusted leader when it comes to interviews. You've interviewed thousands of people. You now are a highly requested guest speaker, keynote speaker, podcasts, all kinds of things. So I kind of feel like you're going to be teaching me what to do here with this interview, but I appreciate you being here. This is going to be a really good conversation.
That's the ultimate compliment, to say when you enter a room that you feel comfortable when I'm here, because that's what that's a skill, right?
Yeah.
That's what I've been working on for the past 3 decades. And especially with Good Things Utah, I went from news to lifestyle. And news, I'm not totally making you comfy. I just need the who, why, what, where, when, let's go.
Right.
But lifestyle, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
And I need you to talk to me, not tell me. And we need to have a conversation. So if you feel that I make you comfortable, I love that compliment.
Well, this is something I've heard from many people. In fact, a good friend of mine is someone who will really emphasize that with me. And I agree, because you've had this ability to really, and that's the difference, I think, between someone that's a speaker or a journalist and someone that is a host, someone that can make people feel comfortable, bring out of them the content that people want to hear. And so that's the kind of stuff I want to talk about. You kind of have had a background. I want to dig a little bit into what brought you into journalism, right? Because you've kind of come from that industry, but what got you to the point where you were now a host of one of Utah's top shows?
All right, it's a crazy story. So I always wanted to be a journalist.
Okay.
I remember being a kid and holding, my fist up in the mirror, and my maiden name was Muse. And I would say, I'm Nicea Muse, and here's your news.
Oh, wow. That's
over
awesome.
and over. And I'm in junior high, and I'm in high school, and I'm ready. It's so funny when you actually do it for the first time, your hand doesn't stay still. It goes like this. And you try to hold it with this hand so it doesn't shake. But I wanted to do that from the time I can remember. And my parents weren't thrilled about it at first. They were like, that doesn't seem like a worthy profession, broadcasting.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to be Diane Sawyer. I'm going to be Katie Couric.
Wow.
I'm going to do this. And their hesitation fueled my fire. And so I went into broadcasting. My dad was a professor at BYU, so that was the direction. There weren't a lot of choices. It was, you could go here, or only here. So half tuition, go to BYU. And they had a great broadcasting program at the time, one of the top in the country. And I got to be on KBYU and make all the mistakes that you make if you watched it back then, decades ago. That was our training ground, and we were hilarious. And then I got a job at ABC4 after doing an internship there in college, and it was just supposed to be temporary. And so here I am working at Wardley Better Homes and Gardens as a receptionist.
Oh, wow.
And then writing, I was a producer, an assistant producer at night on the news. And I'm sitting by Randall Carlisle and Kimberly Perkins. And if you're from Utah, you know these names. They were anchors for decades. And I'm so intimidated and I'm so scared. And I'd been doing it for about 4 months and looking for jobs in Reno and Flagstaff and Idaho Falls, because that's where you went out of college back in the 90s.
Trying to get a place.
Get a place. And I'm sending VHS tapes to as many stations. That was your resume.
Wow.
A VHS tape.
Oh,
that was my resume.
Changed, right?
So I'm sending out VHS tapes, and one day there's this big fiery conversation in the newsroom with our crime reporter. And they're going back and forth, and they don't like how we covered the story. He doesn't like how they're coming back at him, and he walks out. And they look around the room and said, you in the Ann Taylor suit with the bad shoulder pads, get in front of the newsroom camera. Let's see if you're our next crime reporter. I remember sitting on my hands.
That is like storybook, like right time at the right place.
It's a movie. I sat on my hands so they'd stop shaking. Like I put them here because they were shaking. I was holding the paper and I couldn't stop shaking. So I sat on my hands and I read the teleprompter and I looked capable as could be. And they came out and said, you're the next crime reporter. You're a new crime reporter. So I was 23.
Wow.
So I'm, okay, here I go. So I get into crime and it is a learning curve that is like Mount Everest.
Yeah.
you can't just tell the story. You have to do it right or you get sued. I mean, we're talking about criminal cases.
That's so true, yeah.
Yes. So they put me in the toughest place to be. And I learned really fast. I messed up. I remember crying in the station bathroom in the stall.
Oh, wow.
And then I would like fix my makeup and go out to my desk and try again. I've been doing that for about 7 years. And I finally had it. I had this groove. I thought I knew what I was doing. You go into TV thinking you have all the perspective in the world and you have things to say to people and tell, and you're so ready. And I didn't know anything. I didn't have
And
perspective.
you didn't know until you started doing it. You realized that you did not know anything.
You have to be old enough to know that you know nothing.
Yeah.
When you're young, you think you know everything.
For sure.
And that's how I felt. Like I could sit in Kimberly's spot right now. I know what I'm talking about. And I didn't. So I kind of thought I was in a good groove. I'm in my late 20s now. And I remember being out on a story and I'm covering something crime-wise. And a reporter from KSL looks at me and says, "Oh, it's a bummer about them taking you off the weekend." No one had told me they were taking me off the weekend. This is how TV works.
Yeah,
Very cutthroat.
right.
So I go back to the station and I remember I walk into my news director's office and I'm like, "Are you taking me off the weekend? Am I not reporting?" And he was like, "Have a seat. We're starting this new show. It's called Good Things Utah.
Oh, wow.
It's going to be amazing. We're going to cook and craft and we're going to talk to moms." I wasn't a mom. "We're going to bake brownies and you're going to host it." And I said, let me think about it.
Because that did not sound like anything fun or important, right?
Let me think about it. No, I don't want to do that.
Wow.
That's absolutely not what I want to do. And he said, "I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. This is the new show you're going to do." And I said, this is February. This was supposed to be in September when it started. And I said, "Well, we will see about that." And I remember like walking out, I have no cell phone. This is this is in 2002.
Right.
The Olympics had just happened. I walked out to my car and I drove to a field and I cried and I came back and like got on the rotary phone and I called my then husband and I was like, "They're making me do this show called Good Things Utah. I refuse. I just built credibility. I will have none. I will have none. I can't bake." Here I am 23 years later and it was the right left-hand turn.
Total gateway.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I never thought that's what I wanted to do. I didn't know.
It's so interesting. It's interesting. There's so many things to unpack with that, but I think being forced into a situation that you weren't ready for with the crime reporting, that pushed you past where you wanted to be, doing something you didn't love or didn't think was going to be a good opportunity, but you did it anyway. What do you think prepared you for those moves, and why do you think you excelled at them by doing them even though you didn't want to do it?
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things. My fire was fueled by people who said you can't do it. And it's always a Nicea DeGering thing. Just tell her that she can't do it and she'll be there. I think that started with TV was hard. It was a competitive field and not many people can do it. Why don't you do something easier? And that fueled my fire.
Wow.
And then I became this little reporter that everyone said, "You're not going to make it. We don't want you here." Basically, my first 2 years were a comedy of errors. And I didn't fit in. And you didn't just walk out of college and get on TV in Salt Lake at that time. And it fueled my fire. I had to do it. Like I said I was going to do it, and I will do it.
Well, you did some serious preparation. You knew what you wanted in the first place.
Yes.
You knew what you thought you wanted, but you were open to the possibilities, and then it happened. But then you used that fuel to push you where you wanted, and you optimized what you had. Because once you had that opportunity, you had to kind of dig in, right?
You had to take it. No, I could have said, "I'm not ready."
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No.
And you've interviewed now thousands of people. And that show, obviously, you don't just bake brownies and all those kind of things.
No, but that's how it was sold to me.
But do you feel like you were able to shape the narrative on that show because you dug into it?
Yes.
Because it's changed a lot over the years, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I just did they do an interview with me. How's 30 years in television going for you? And what do you think you've accomplished? And I said, I've been able to highlight the incredible things in our state, but also draw attention to the ones that need work. And I got to go where I got a platform. Now the things that are important to me, the stories that I was covering, and I could only just tell you, well, I mean, I went into it to tell your story. I love stories, and I wanted to tell your story. I never thought I'd sit here and tell mine. That was never my purpose.
Yeah.
I wanted to tell yours. But suddenly you would tell me your story, and I thought, that needs more. We need to do something about that. And then I could, on Good Things Utah, do another and another interview and bring someone else on and draw attention to these issues. I mean, I'm home. I'm in Utah. Like, I love this.
Yeah.
I want to make our state the best it can be.
Well,
and
you've seen a lot of shifts happen over
lot
time.
changed.
Like with the people, the trends, the politics, everything, like you've seen this happen. What are some of the biggest things that you've seen kind of change over time?
It has been
that come to top of
such
mind?
a unique spot, like my perch. Of looking at Utah, and people would always say, right? I remember initially doing the show when I would go out of state, and people would be like, "You're on TV in Utah. Y'all are crazy, right?"
Yeah.
Now I get you drink soda and you watch Secret Lives of Mormon Wives,
right?
That's shifted.
Yeah.
That's definitely shifted. But I think talking about things. I grew up here. There are a lot of things we didn't talk about. There were a lot of things we tiptoed around, and now we're saying them.
Yeah.
Now we're saying the things. There's a lot of interviews that we're like, oh, be careful with that one. No, now we're going to do the interview, and we're going to talk about the things. We're going to say the word therapy.
Yeah.
We're going to say mental health. We're going to say those things, and as a matter of fact, we're going to talk about how Utah has one of the lowest mental health rates in the country, and we're going to say it.
Yeah.
We're going to do something about it.
Yeah.
And I think when TV started, we were very, no, it's all good and it's all great, and thanks for watching.
Yeah.
And now we go.
And just doing an interview versus crafting the narrative, making a change, influencing and impacting. You clearly love what you do. And so how much do you think, because you've been doing it for a while, how much do you think doing the reps has made you successful versus really engaging and being passionate about what you do versus even knowing that it affects and influences a change?
I had to remember
all those things, or
I had to remember that the news and Good Things Utah and so many of those interviews aren't for me. They're for everyone watching.
Good point. Yeah.
I have to know your audience.
Oh, yeah. That's
right?
great.
That's the number one rule of broadcasting and the number one rule of journalism and
speaking or
speaking
authority
everything
or
else.
anything, right?
Know your audience. There were so many things on Good Things Utah and still today that I'm like, this is not something I'm interested in. But someone out there is.
Yeah.
Someone out there is. If I can move the needle this much with conversation and growth, and maybe someone at home that felt seen and heard that didn't before, that's my job. And what I found in the years, because a lot of people in TV have come and gone in my 30 years, the connectors stay. The people that have the ability to not just listen or talk and like hope for the next question as soon as they can get it in there, and they're not about themselves, but the people that actually connect with you, those are the ones that are still in television. And when I started, you stacked
in business
your scripts.
too, I would admit. I mean, it's not just in television. I think it's like anything else. I think people sometimes always so busy trying to get their message out that they're not trying to create a result for the people that are listening to their message.
You're just on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Not how did this one make an impact and how do I fix what's broken and how do I do more of what's good. I was taught to stack my scripts when I felt awkward, smile at my co-anchor, and look at all of you with authority and say, we'll see you tomorrow. That doesn't work on TV in 2026.
Not long
That's
term
gone.
either.
Anchorman is gone.
Yeah.
Right? He went out with Ron Burgundy.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't, you used to be able to hide behind that desk with this authority. And now your authority comes from connection. And that has shifted for me. I didn't like it at first. I was not used to that. When people wanted to know about me, I was like, wait, I do the questions.
Right.
I tell about you. But if you don't know me and you don't connect with me, you no longer watch me.
Yeah.
And there were so many anchors that couldn't make that transition and so many reporters that couldn't make that transition of connecting with the viewer. Or you're
when it changes along the way, right? Because you made a really good point. Even though you've probably been a connector all along, right? The trends change.
Yeah.
And there's a big difference between being an influencer, Kim Kardashian, and a Brene Brown, or someone that can connect with their audience and they want to continue to consume content and they want to continue to learn from them because one's an authority and one's just a celebrity. You've seen a lot, right? You've seen a lot of celebrities versus influencers and important authoritative people. Give me some of that insight.
George, I remember showing up to an event and instead of cameras there were cell phones. And I don't know the people. And it was such a jarring moment
You're
for
like,
someone who's been in broadcasting for a long time that this is the new storyteller? Is it the new way that the audience wants to consume stories?
Yeah.
Is in this format? And the answer is yes, and. I mean, there's always room for more. That is a portion of it. And TV used to have the whole pie.
Right.
And now we have a slice.
Yeah.
And their slice was over here.
But you've navigated it really well. Like, I think you make a really good point that connection is what keeps people listening. But you've been able to navigate in broadcast journalism, right? You've been able to navigate TV, but also influence and also connecting with an audience that is now almost, look at some of the shows on TV that now most of their YouTube channels get more views than their actual show. How have you been able to do that? Is it just your awareness of what the audience and the market is doing, or what do you think attributes that to you? Because consistently, there's very few shows that have been going as long and have been working as long as you have, right? So What has helped you to do that?
I definitely have to thank the formula. I mean, I think the formula for the show was groundbreaking back in 2002. No one had done anything like it. No one had humanized. The View had just started 3 or 4 years before us.
Okay.
And that's kind of what we fashioned it. Let's put some women at a table.
Okay.
Let's get us talking. Let's get people at home to be you have a friend in us, not just someone that's telling you the headlines, but you have a friend.
You're connected with these people,
The connection. We're back to connection. So the formula really worked. But I think more than that.
When you say formula, do you mean the format?
Yes,
the way you
the
talk?
Format.
Is there? You really have a formula for
there
it.
There was a formula and a format. There was a way to connect with viewers, but also I think so many people. A couple thoughts here. So many people. I don't like the news anymore. I hear that all the time. You're on TV. Yeah. Oh, I don't watch the news. I don't like the news. I think it's hard to find someone you trust. There's so much information coming at you. Who's a trusted source? I think being there 30 years and being in local television, those are still trusted sources.
Yes.
Nationally, you can say, I see your slant showing. I see it. Pull up your slant.
Yeah.
Because you see it. Local, not as much. We're in your community. That creates longevity. But also, I think Good Things Utah is about everything good going on in our state. It's what's going to happen, what you can be part of, not what's already happened that you sit and have to digest, and it's another sad news story.
It's interesting you say that because my company, obviously, authority is the key. And the way I describe authority, you've used all these words, credibility, trust, connection, but also you're the go-to source for everything around that. And so it's one thing to be a reporter putting things out or news putting things out or influencer putting things out. But when people come to you to know what's going on in Utah, what to trust, what not, then you have credibility. You have real, true authority.
What builds it.
And that's probably why you also are sought after for speaking at events and all these types of things, because now they know, oh, there's this personality, brand, authority that can come over to my company and give that same feel.
A year and a half ago, a production company called me that's working with Netflix and said, we're going to go back to the Elizabeth Smart story. We know you were one of those main reporters in town that covered it. There were a lot of people that covered it, but I was the one for ABC4. It was right after they asked me to be on Good Things Utah.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, I'm going to go do this, and this is what I love, and then I won't be able to do it anymore. So I was really involved in that story, and I covered it 8 weeks straight, every single day. I didn't go to the station. I went up to Federal Heights, where a little 14-year-old girl was taken from her bedroom in the middle of the night, Elizabeth Smart. And I look at how I covered it then. And I did this interview, by the way.
It's interesting before and
it's now out. I did it a year and a half ago. They asked me to do this production company. I really like how they put it together. Sometimes you worry how you're edited just as much as, when I interview you, you worry how it'll be edited. I felt the same. I knew Elizabeth was part of the story and that she had final say. So I knew that finally her telling her story, that's something I wanted to be part of. I watched me interview back then. I would do it differently now.
What would you do differently?
The
Obviously,
empathy,
in hindsight, a lot of things happen, but you're talking more than just post-editing. You're talking about the way you do things now you do different,
23 years ago,
okay.
I would have felt what everyone felt more. I would have, instead of just try to get the words out because I had NBC and CBS and CNN standing next to me.
It was a job.
And just, I'm getting it out and I'm getting the best interview and here's the information. The feelings of that little girl missing in that community and the empathy that I wish I could have conveyed to the audience and what her parents were feeling, what investigators were going through week after week of her still gone, rather than get the information and get it on the air. I see it differently now.
Yeah.
I'm different now.
Yeah.
The connection I want to make with the community because I'm one of you, and really the perspective that you couldn't give me then. I had to earn it, but I think I have.
Yeah.
I've earned it.
Yeah. Well, you also talk about so many different things, and I want to shift a bit to strategies and techniques because there's so many people out there right now trying to create authority for their brand.
Yeah.
And it might be business owners, CEOs, founders. It could be individual thought leaders, authors, speakers, things like this. But communication is all the same. What would you recommend? What are the things now that in hindsight you see differently? And this common idea of connection is one of them. But how do you make that connection? What are any tips or strategies you have that you would give maybe our audience to say, how do I connect better? And you alluded to it by saying you would be more concerned with the emotions and thoughts and results they're trying to connect with, right? But are there strategies and things you try to work into your interviews, or what would you recommend?
That's a great question. I think so often we have our list and like you just put it down. That's like when you're out there connecting with someone and you're asking questions and you're trying to find more about someone, are you just going through the next thing in your head while they're talking? Or are you really listening?
Yeah.
Are you playing off what they say? It goes back to knowing your audience, even if the audience is one, even if that's it. You really have to listen. I think people want to be heard. People want to be seen.
Yeah.
They want to not just think you talked at them, but with them.
And they could tell. Subtly, they know whether you're listening
Audiences are
or
smart.
not, or you're talking or not.
I agree.
We talked about this before the show, but we came on this subject of, but what if you get in an interview where somebody's just drilling you with questions, and usually you want to be controlling the narrative a bit. You want to be able to talk about what you want to talk about. How do you do that without coming off like, I don't want to answer that question, I want to do this? Because a lot of these founders and business owners, they want to get their message out, but they want to connect. How do you control the narrative?
Do both? How do you get that message out and connect? So what I would tell you is, I mean, you know your message already. You know those 3 points that you want to make. Make them no matter what you're asked. Make them no matter what, but connect at the same time. Okay, that sounds complicated. It sounds hard. But George, no matter what you ask me, if I want to tell you the Elizabeth Smart story, I'm going to find a way to get it in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to, because
transition's the key,
I'm going
right?
to transition.
Right. Okay.
And I'm going to say, that's a great question. I'm going to say also what I just thought of is, and I'm going to get my message out. But at the same time, I'm going to be human. I'm not going to be robotic. I'm not, again, going to talk at you. I'm going to talk with you.
But you said something I want to point out, and I want to really make this emphasis for those of you that are listening. It's so important to know your content. And you also said something else, know the objective. You should know your audience when you go into an interview, but you should also know your objective and know your content. And when you know and you're prepared, you don't have to worry about getting it across because you're prepared. And you talked about, even though your show is a couple hours, an hour, a couple of different times, you're preparing a lot. So preparation is that first step. And then you can go in and you can focus on having an amazing conversation and connecting.
Do not memorize. That is my number one tip for everyone out there. Do not memorize what you are going to say in front of people in interviews ever. Have talking points, but know your content and let it breathe. The minute you get off your memorized point, you are in trouble. I've seen it. I've seen deer in the headlights.
You're like, wait, you threw me for a loop. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Do you know
now,
that people's cheeks shake when they're nervous? Bless your hearts. Like, I've seen it. Like,
you've noticed that, right?
Oh, I was with a chef in the kitchen, and under the table of the kitchen, I grabbed his hand because I could see his cheek just going up and down.
Like,
because he had his recipe memorized. And then when you get off it, where do you go? Just talk. I mean, that's what people want to connect with. If I can tell you anything, it's in 30 years of broadcasting. What once worked no longer does. That stacking of my papers, and we'll be right back, Bob, is no longer getting people to watch us. It is us becoming familiar. It is us becoming, I mean, who we always were, but we were separated. Now we're part of it. And hopefully, after 30 years, I have the credibility that also lends me as a voice with it. But that comes from connection.
Well, you do it from two different aspects, and this is a great actual strategy for people listening, because you've been able to, as a host, asking questions, but as a guest or a keynote or someone connecting and getting questions, both of those you're prepared for, but both of those you've had the ability to kind of get your message across, but also connect. Obviously, reps and thousands of interviews help you to do that.
It's so true.
But you're also very strategic, I can tell. I think that's why you have the trusted authority in the marketplace. And so preparation, being on script, knowing what you want to do ahead of time, but then just connecting and having a conversation. What else would you recommend?
I think people say, how are you on TV every day? And my answer is...
Without getting burned out, you mean?
Just how do you do this? After an interview, they're like, how do you do this? Here's my answer. I do it every day. That's my answer. How do you do a podcast? I do it. How did you get on TV? When the opportunity was there, I did it. I took it. And when failure, because I failed 1,000 times, that built me, that showed my character. I just kept coming back. Failure builds you. Failure gave me that perspective that now I wish I could go back to all those stories and have that, but you have to earn it and you have to grow. So the only way to be better at an interview is to do it. The only way to use your voice better, and I don't like how my voice sounds, I don't like how I sat, is go do it again. Go do it again, and this time, have great posture. This time, you talked out loud the whole way there, so your voice is ready. This time, you took a deep breath. So do it. You can't not do it and be good at it. Do it over and over.
And don't wait until you're ready to do it either.
Don't wait. No.
Because probably the best version of you would do it anyway, and so why not be that person right now? That's really huge.
I love that.
Now, you get asked to speak in a lot, so off camera, off TV, off studio, you're asked to speak a lot of times. Do people generally want you to come up to help them craft their message? What are you passionate about outside the studio?
Travel.
I want to talk to you about that too, because there's some really cool stuff happening. She's going to be launching a travel podcast, but also you love travel. So tell me about that.
Okay, was that a good segue? Did I transition
Do you see how
perfectly?
she just lit up a little bit?
I go,
She's kinda
well,
like,
travel.
Okay, we can talk some turkey now. Okay,
So
cool.
growing up, youngest of 6 children, and I was the lucky one. I don't think the other 5 got to travel half as much as I did, or even a fourth as much as I did, because parents didn't have any money, right?
Yeah,
With all these kids.
Same.
Here comes the baby 8 years after the 5th. And my parents, speaking of perspective, were all about seeing life through travel. And it has been so valuable for me growing up in Utah and wanting perspective, but going to BYU and then working in Utah.
Yeah.
I wanted my kids
not
to have
exposed
the same.
to a lot of other
no,
things,
not
right? At all,
exposed,
right?
but
Yeah.
travel did. Travel exposed me to that. And so my parents, as a kid, Hawaii was their favorite place. So
It's my favorite too.
both
still.
of my parents are gone now. But when I go to Hawaii, I feel them there. I feel their presence there. I feel at home in Hawaii. But even
So learning about life, but also memories lock in pretty solid with
Yes.
travel, right? This is your lifestyle.
there's something about travel
Yeah.
that transports you. There's something about it. And travel with your girlfriends. There's something about that bonding part of travel. There's something about not knowing someone till you travel with them.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a second, maybe we're not doing this again.
Right.
There's something about getting outside your comfort zone and embracing
Right.
other cultures and just other places. I mean, not even cultures. I went to Rhode Island last year for the first time. And I was like, this has been here the whole time.
Yeah.
Newport,
Yeah.
Rhode Island has
Yeah.
been here the whole time.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk about all the things and I think it's more accessible than it's ever been.
Right.
It's more
Yes.
approachable than it's ever been. By the way, I learned that this week. We're not saying affordable anymore if you're a business. You're saying
Oh,
approachable.
it's approachable now. Okay.
You're saying
yeah,
approachable, so
everybody.
I'm going to add that word in. But I think more of us are doing it. So let's do it in a way that makes you happy. And that's what we're going to talk about in the podcast.
Well, and what's great, and I love that because I think so many people have thought of travel as like this luxury when you have extra money and things like this, but you take a different perspective. And on my podcast, I always talk about the idea that, you can work hard and do business and get your personal development, all these things, but it's to create the life that you're meant to live. And your life and lifestyle is what you're doing it for. So why not reverse it and just live the life you were meant to live while doing these other things? So travel is not just a luxury, right? Travel is something you can experience life, you can learn, you can grow, you can lock in memories. I remember trips more than I do
Don't you?
a business event that I went to, right? Or maybe it was the travel around that business event, but it's the travel.
My dad passed away from brain cancer right after he retired. And we did travel as a kid, and he did spark my travel bug, and then I gave it to my daughters. But he always would say, once I retire, I'll travel more. When I retire, I'll put all this money aside, then I'll travel.
Someday.
And someday didn't come.
Yeah.
Someday didn't come to go all the places that he wished he could go. And so I think you're right. I think travel is about a lifestyle. And believe you me, I'm in 36F along with the rest of you. I love a good flight deal. I love to find that thing, but I also love to splurge on this, but not on that. And I think that, for my kids, my daughter's turning 21 next month and she's going to Paris with her friends.
Wow.
I wouldn't have been allowed back when I was in college. But I love that it is. And I love the accessibility of it and that it appeals to so many people for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
And for
so
me,
not only is the travel podcast could be something that gives probably some great stories, some good, stuff like that, but you're going to be helping people to realize that it is more approachable, right? Like
approachable.
Yeah.
Do you
I
like that word?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's a little hard for people to grasp at first, but I think it gives you a little bit more of a sense of something that's doable rather than affordable. It's like, I don't know if I can ever afford it, but I can put it into my life.
I asked a CEO and he said, affordable sounds like it's not quality. And
Correct.
approachable sounds like there's still quality involved.
Yeah. I think it's a shift people need to make in that their life and their lifestyle, travel can be part of that. And they have to, and it's hard for people to accept because they think it's money, it takes money and time. And when you say travel, it doesn't mean you're going to Europe for a week or 10 days to a Greek cruise or something, which could mean that too. But I think you can get a lot out of even local, like you just said. I'll bet you most people don't even realize stuff around them that they could be experiencing. So it sounds like your travel podcast is going to be a little bit of everything.
I'm from Utah. I went to Midway and realized that I really had never seen Midway. Like I spent a weekend. I was like, whoops. I mean, how far away is that? 40 minutes? And I'd never really spent an entire weekend in Midway. I just
Travel
interviewed.
can really be a mindset.
It is. I just interviewed a hospice nurse about, and what an incredible job that would be and how hard that is. And everyone that does that, thank you for doing it because I couldn't. Regrets that she hears at the end of life. And it's never, I didn't send that last email to work that I should have.
Right.
It's never, I should have gone ahead. I should have done this. I just went to a funeral, in fact, 2 days ago. Everyone loves John, the jazz bear. And they did a video with him at the end of the funeral about how fun it was to be the jazz bear for 25 years and how hard he worked and all the things he did. And he said, my regret is not doing more with my family. I regret it. At the end of my life, I wish I would have spent more time. So to me, travel is time, it's experience, it's all the things. And so I'm excited to dive in with everybody.
It's so interesting because not only, I think, that's a very stoic mindset, right? Looking at it from the worst case scenario, right? Where you have regrets at the end of your life. But I've got a goal this year, and I've looked at travel more like, how do I cement in memories? Because what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to look back and remember all of those things. So that's another thing at the end of your life you're going to want to do. Look back at those experiences, those travel events. And I think everybody has some type of a travel story or a dream trip they want to go on or those types of things. And even the anticipation of a trip can be motivational and inspiring for you,
It's almost better than the trip, right? The plan of going on it.
Yeah.
That's why Make-A-Wish, most of the wishes are trips.
Yeah.
That's why, because the anticipation and the planning of a trip and going somewhere is actual medicine for these kids.
Yeah.
It actually, I mean, and if it is for them, it is for us.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Yeah, it really is. Well, this is going to be exciting.
I'm excited about it.
Well, let me ask you this. So before we go, because I know we're probably out of time, but what kind of tips and recommendations do you have for individuals that are looking to, whether it's in broadcast or not, really become more of an authority and establish themselves in the industry as somebody that's a thought leader? Because that is one of the things that you do really well and you've been known for, connecting with your audience. Are there any other strategies, ideas, tips, suggestions you would have for people?
To me, it's what are you passionate about? I think initially my passion was I'm going to be on TV, and now I've got to get that right interview. I've got to do that next story. I've got to do that next thing. And my passion has shifted. I still love all of that. I still love it. But my passion has shifted to who can I shed light on that needs their story told? What do you love as much as when you say become an authority? I get asked to do these events and everyone has this amazing, whatever it might be, that they want you to speak on or speak about. And for me, being in those rooms with people that are passionate about something has helped me. The more I do, these people are like, you're busy all the time. Yes, and I've learned so much about so many. I mean, to shed a light in 4 minutes, that's why I told you I love podcasts. We've gone to totally dive deep.
Right.
I don't get to dive that deep on television. Television's quick still. We're like,
you can connect far more when you can connect more.
Yes,
right?
It's so true. Connect outside of it.
Yeah.
Go find what you're passionate about and lean in. And there've been groups that I've been on boards now. Make-A-Wish was one of them. And all those things give you perspective.
Right.
Don't be one-sided. Be multifaceted with your approach.
I love it.
And again, that's where the perspective comes from.
I love it. I love it. Well, where can people connect with you? Where can they connect and follow you or get to know more about you?
Okay, well, find me on social media. NeceaDeGering.com is my website, but you can also find me, Nicea DeGering, on Instagram, Nicea DeGering on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. And then this travel podcast hopefully coming together in the next little bit. So I will definitely post all about it. And let's vacation together.
That sounds great. I'm going to put some links in the show notes, and so I appreciate you being here. And I
You're
just
a great interviewer, by the way.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I love doing it. I always try to come prepared as well, but at the same token, if you enjoy doing it, at the end of the day, you can be really successful as well. So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.
Those of you that are listening, I want you to do me a favor and share this show. Do me a favor. Let us know what you're working on. Let us know what you're struggling with. I always like to end the show by saying it's never too late to start living the life you're meant to live, but you got to take action. And hopefully, through travel and some of these other things, you can live an even better life. So have an amazing day, and we'll talk with you soon.